Alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back. Before the break, we were talking about love languages. Please go research, try to understand yourself and your husband. What the next thing I would want to talk about is finances. It's one of the major causes of divorce, Nimo. Why is that?
Well, finances are a huge aspect that cover everything about the daily life. It's just economy,
Right.
basically.
Yeah.
I mean, imagine a country that does not talk about its economic issues. It's just going downhill, right? The same thing happens in households and it happens in marriages, basically. And there's a huge awkwardness that people feel when they talk about finances. It's like there's lack of comfortability, and initially there's usually some the aspect of what is financial stability for you and what is financial stability for me,
Right.
because depending on what type of household I come from, or depending on what type of a household you come from, you are more comfortable with certain things that are important for you. If are you a saver, are you a spender, who handles the financial credibility? And looking at our Islamic values, usually the guys are the ones who provide for their wives, so, or supposed to be providing. So now looking at that criteria, what is the kind of financial space your wife is asking for? Also, is she comfortable to talk about these things? Are you comfortable to support her with these things? If you're not comfortable, are you able to express it, or do you just agree until you're both resentful towards each other because you're not able to fulfill certain needs that she has when it comes to finances? Savings, for the future, and stuff like that. There's finances is a huge aspect when it comes to marriage, and because people are ready, when you're with your spouse, a lot of times people are ready to avoid the topic altogether and not talk about it. I'm just like, okay, I need money, that's it. And then if he can give you, he gives you, but then if he gets uncomfortable to give you, you also get resentful over it. It's an entire concept on its own.
Yeah, and it's really mind-boggling, because I feel like for us women, we assume that talking about finances before will make you look like a gold digger. But understanding that as a Muslim woman, it is your right for the man to provide for you. And also maybe making the man understand that talking about finances doesn't necessarily mean that I am interested in your money, right? But it's what can you provide, what are you comfortable providing. And I also feel like for men, they avoid the topic because they assume that if I let this woman know how much I have, then they're going to drain me. She's going to drain me, so I'm going to act like I don't have much, right? Yeah. I'm going to act like I'm usually broke, so that. But sometimes it's based on needs, and I feel like also honesty and being very clear in conversations. This is how much I can afford to give you,
and being team players,
right?
At the end of the day,
yeah.
If you're not on the same team and you're not working towards a certain goal, let's say your financial plan around in this marriage is maybe to own a company later on in life at a certain age, or being having a certain retirement plan, and or maybe having your kids go to certain university, and or like planning for anything that comes up in life, basically. So if we are not on the same side and we feel like I am taking your money for granted, because also women, we are the caretakers of our men, of course. We need to make sure that we're not overspending, or you're not taking it for granted for that, in that sense.
But
so
what
there's
is
supposed to be
overspending,
a balance. So overspending is the situations in marriages where we see women who use the husband's money without regard.
Right.
Yes.
But what if he has enough though? I feel like isn't it relative? I mean,
it could be relative.
Yeah.
then again, the financial conversation that is avoided. So let's say your wife likes to binge shop, to go for shopping maybe twice a month, and buys a lot of unnecessary things.
For who though?
For the household, for herself. But then there's also, you have your own financial plan. Everyone has their own financial plan in that sense. And you see that that is unnecessary to spend money on. If you're not able to sit down and talk about it, and instead just like, you know, reprimand each other like kids, then there's lack of communication. Maybe the binge shopping could be okay for different people, and the different circumstances. Also the comprehension, making sure there is, like, if you decide to cut someone out of context, of course, that can be, you know, detrimental.
Right.
But in the context, maybe our context is to save and to build a future that looks like this, and then not being team players would be me using that money to binge shop. Right.
Or
so
or to exceed, because I feel like if we don't have, again, back to communications. So we've not spoken about finances and what is overspending for me. So for the woman, shopping twice a month could actually be
something she's used to from her family.
Or something that is not enough for her. Or am spending a certain amount of money. But then if we have that discussion and we actually have a sit down and say, listen, I can offer you this amount for the month. Whatever you choose to do with it is all you, right? But this is the maximum I can go.
Okay. Are you okay with that?
Right. Are you okay with that? Or what do you think? What are you comfortable?
This?
Right.
And how can we like make this work for both of us? We need to negotiate, because in that sense, the financial aspect can come and, you know, affect your emotional intimacy, or any other part of your marriage, because a marriage is an entire, you know, building. So what one part supports the other side of the building at the end of the day.
I appreciate that a lot, and one of the things also that is discussed during a premarital session is personalities. Tell me about that.
This is a very interesting part of premarital counseling, because personalities and who we are as a person, and the values we've carried from our childhood, the experiences that we've had, because each of us have we have our own experiences, we have our own way that we view life, and if we do not agree in the perspectives that we have towards life, then there could be a huge, you know, clash in between, and that can also, you know, surpass and affect the finances, affect the emotional intimacy, affect the, you know, parenting styles that we might have with our kids and all that, because of how we are. Maybe this person is, some people use their thoughts to process more than they use their feelings to process a certain dynamic. Some people use their feelings more than they use their thoughts. So if someone is, especially for most men, we see men as very logical people, and we see women as very emotional people, right? So if a certain situation arises, and let's say it's a problem, just a general problem, and I usually decide to use my emotion to process anything. So I use my emotions and how I feel, maybe my intuition would support me to come to a decision in how to solve this problem. And then someone else's way, now your partner's way, is the logical way, and when they're being logical, you feel maybe neglected, or you feel disregarded, because you're seeing facts more than you can feel like you're being acknowledged with how you feel. Maybe you're feeling annoyed, you're sad, you're frustrated, but then someone is giving you facts, but this and this and this happened, what do you have against it? But you felt a certain way about a certain experience. So this like gauging that, and being able to sense each other's personalities when it comes to how different people process situations or process problems? Do you use feelings to process your problems, or do you use thoughts to process your problems? Are you an extroverted or are you introverted also? So if you're an extrovert, most extroverts have the need to communicate with a larger group and be expressive and talk and all that. Most introverts tend to need their safe space where they can maneuver and get back their energy and then reconnect with people. And sometimes when someone is maybe isolating themselves because of their personality, them being an introvert, someone could take that to offense. Maybe your spouse, they don't know that is part of who you are, and they're not really aware. So when they are able to see that that is who you are, and that could really ease your conflict. But if you don't know, and you can easily get offended out of that, then there is an imbalance in your relationship. And that is one of the things that people explore in premarital counseling.
Right. And I love especially when you have two different personalities and you have an introvert and an extrovert, and how they process situations. So the introvert might decide to go and sleep, for example. I mean, that's how they process whatever it is that they're going through. And then the extrovert, who's the partner. When I say partner, I mean wife. So the wife or the husband, right, takes that in as, so now they've decided they want to go and rest, or they want to go seclude themselves. If they don't understand that this is part of their personality and it's how they process emotions, then they'll take that as an offense. And it's one of the reasons why people build resentment, and resentment leads to divorce ultimately.
And anger, and also poor marriage.
Right.
Yeah, poor marriage is also sad.
Yeah. And we're going to talk a bit more about this, inshallah. This is a very wide topic. We're very excited because for me, I feel like we don't have, it's unfortunate as for Muslims, right, or communities, we have more of premarital counseling in other communities than we have our own, and I think it's necessary. I hope that it becomes one of the recommendations for marriage. We are going to see you, inshallah, next time as we talk